We are continuing to speak about the internal dialogue based on the teachings of Bhaktitirtha Swami. So, in his books Spiritual Warrior and in other books, he speaks about internal dialogue. And in one book, Spiritual Warrior 5, he has almost, I think it's one section of the chapter, or maybe it's a whole chapter, I don't know. But it's a fair amount of text, and today we have spoken, and I have marked it with number 1, and now we continue where we stopped. So the next subtitle is Identify the Source. So, a significant part of spiritual life is giving up the patterns, giving up the false identity that we have accepted, that we have embraced, and we need to identify the source first. What is the source of this conception? So, one exercise that he recommends to examine our past with more precision is think about 3 most significant people in your life who have left specific favorable impressions on your consciousness. Then think about 3 most important choices that you have made, and then think about 3 most significant events in your past. So this is the exercise that Maharaj recommends. So now some of these things maybe were not auspicious, some of them maybe were unpleasant or negative, but that they also could have left a lot of impressions on your consciousness, and they also may be the cause of negative internal dialogue. So your associating with certain people may have led to the development of some of your current habits and the acceptance of many negative labels and negative ways of thinking. So some of these associations, may have been the cause of this negative internal dialogue that you hear in your mind, and it distracts you from your spiritual life. Now, as you recognize some of these negative influences also, it is important for you to separate yourself from that influence. You are not that influence, you are not that negative influence, you are not those negative words that have been told to you and that stayed in your mind. On the other hand, if the influences were positive, then you can be grateful for any benefits that you have received. Now, this is an exercise that it is recommended that this exercise is done in writing. So now you cannot write maybe if you're listening to this, but you can write after you listen to this or tomorrow. You can set time to write and do this exercise. And of course, I can send you actually this text, and you can work with this text. So that now maybe you're not writing, and maybe you cannot find in this recording what I have said about the exercise, but I can give you the written material. I have a file which is called BTS Internal Dialogue, where I have collected this text of the part of the chapter, or maybe it's a whole chapter, and then many other quotes that we will also discuss in these audio broadcasts. This is so important. I mean, I have chosen it because it's so important to develop spiritual inner dialogue and positive inner dialogue. So now Maharaj, he actually recommends to stop reading now, and after you think very, very deeply about the above things that he has asked us to do, the 333, then continue reading this chapter. But if you cannot do this, I mean, I'm not going to stop now, I'm going to continue with reading from his chapter. So, obstacles on the path of devotion. As we engage our senses and minds in spiritual practices, cleansing takes place, purification takes place. However, any medication or medicine works along with the immune system and metabolism, which means that we must take it at the right time and in the right way. For this reason, we always have offenses to avoid so that we can get full benefit of the potent process. It will not penetrate deeply if there are blocks. So offenses that we make are blocks. They are actually also preventing the holy name to have a very beneficial and very positive effect on our consciousness. So someone, for example, can come into the temple and see the deities, but if they simply view the deity as an idol, they will not get benefit. They will not benefit sufficiently from the darshan. Viewing the deity in Vedic culture is not idol worship, but actually a spiritual science, a spiritual process meant to increase our personal association and appreciation of the Supreme Lord. However, the person who sees the deity as an idol will have actually an offensive internal dialogue about this darshan. Not only will they be disrespectful to the deity, but they will also fail to sufficiently appreciate prasadam or sanctified vegetarian food, because their internal dialogue tells them that they do not eat that type of food. So sometimes Christian people don't want to eat our food because they think it's not pure or something. Then some people with low self-esteem or self-respect, they will not be able to receive love because they feel unworthy. They see themselves as bad or insensitive, and therefore they do not feel that other people can genuinely care for them. Unfortunately, many people will continue to think in these ways and will carry negative mindsets and negative internal dialogues into their adulthood and family life. And they can also transmit the same negativity to their children. So it's like a chain, like a bad chain in one sense. Sometimes we think that we just have to chant and pray in order to reach the goal. Of course, one should chant and follow the 9 processes of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. And in previous ages, devotees could practice just one of the 9 processes and attain perfection. However, in Kali Yuga, or this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, we should actually follow all of them, since we do not execute any one of them with sufficient quality. So do you understand this? Maharaj says that we should follow all of these processes because we cannot practice any particular one of them, any one of them with sufficient quantity or sufficiently perfect. We also understand that other factors influence our devotional service. For instance, if we have a problem with our physical or subtle body, it might disturb our consciousness and our spiritual life. When we feel good physically, we will often find that we have more enthusiasm to carry out our spiritual activities. Similarly, when our phobias or minds do not interfere as much, we will also have fewer obstacles, and the spiritual message can penetrate our heart more easily. As far as physical body is concerned, if you have some pain in your body while trying to listen to a lecture, that pain will actually interfere with your receptivity of the message. A phobia will also cause a disturbance. For example, if you try to listen attentively to a lecture while you are concerned about the safety of your child as he or she plays outside, the noises outside will repeatedly distract you and disturb you, and you will be in fear. In another case, if you come to a lecture immediately after having an argument with your spouse, you will not fully bring yourself into this spiritual activity, and you will not have the same attention and the focus. You will still be influenced by that conflict that you had with your wife or husband. So you have like entire lifetime of experiences, and you can imagine the amount of distractions that hinder our ability to internally connect with God and fully absorb our consciousness in Him. We want to have a strong internal dialogue that always thinks of the Lord and worships Him. And this dialogue is always about the service, always about the Lord, always about how to support others. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru mameva ishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam matparayanaha. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. This is Bhagavad Gita 9:34, chapter 9, text 34. We want to always absorb ourselves with rapt attention on the Supreme Lord and recognize Him as our greatest friend and protector. He is the ultimate goal of all our endeavors, and we understand that we want to reach a certain destination, but while endeavoring to achieve that goal, we have numerous obstacles. All of these deterrents are soliciting our attention and carrying our minds away from the proper path. We have a chance to hear wonderful instructions from the scriptures, and we have a chance to embrace them and fully enter into them. However, we are drawn away by these hindrances, and instead of dealing with them, we tend to ignore them and think that they will go away. But in many cases, we find that after 10, 15 or even 30 years of chanting, meditating, praying and participating in spiritual processes, these hindrances still remain. They will go away if we allow the chanting and the meditating to enter deeply into our consciousness and into our heart. But if we have too many blocks, the process will not sufficiently enter and take over our life and our existence. So once again, please take time to stop and reflect on the following exercise, which involves the recognition of your internal dialogue. Some studies indicate that most people maintain an internal dialogue that is over 80% negative. Can you imagine that? Over 80% negative. Take one day, choose one day and try to notice the types of internal conversations going on within your own mind. Most of us are constantly putting ourselves down and also putting or other people down in different ways. What does that mean? It means thinking critically about ourselves or about others. We repeatedly tell ourselves that we will fail or that we have no worth, and along with many other negative put-downs, negative statements, negative thoughts. Now you can notice how in your conversations with particular people your internal dialogue sometimes differs from what you speak out loud. Unfortunately, most of the time the internal dialogue is negative, but that which we continue to internally speak turns into our mantra. Consequently, we will have more experiences related to our internal dialogue, even if we externally seem to not want them. This is such an importance of an internal dialogue. So the next topic we will discuss, which is from Maharaj's text, is called, the title is A Cry for Help, and we will stop here. It's also quite late. I didn't have time to do this second part today earlier, so A Cry for Help will continue tomorrow, and probably I will try to do 2 audios tomorrow, again maybe each 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So anyone who is interested, you are welcome to attend, and you can invite your friends. And because I don't know when I am going to do it, then you can send them a link if you like, and you can tell them that this is saved on Facebook on my wall, so they can find it there. So how can you find it? It says Internal Dialogue 1, Internal Dialogue 2, Internal Dialogue 3. This is how actually these recordings can be found on my wall. One has to scroll a little bit because I put many things during the day, so I have to scroll down and find them. And in this way, if you like, you can share with other people who might benefit from this, if you think. And of course, if anyone has questions about the internal dialogue, I'm available for answers. And if you want to work on your internal dialogue, then also I can help in some ways. So thank you very much for listening. Whoever is listening now and whoever will listen later the recording, I'm thanking everyone for listening, and I pray and I hope that you will have an enormous benefit from this. Hare Krishna.